Good morning and happy Friday. It's time to get started again. It's a little bit late, and this one's going to be a little bit of a shorter session just simply because we are a little bit late. So sorry about that. I got carried away hunting through my virtual pile of architectural fragments to find the right piece. I wondered if I had the right thing built. I think I do already. So it's this piece right here, which if I were to turn this out of wireframe, you kind of wouldn't be able to see any better than what we've already got here. But this is a respawn. It's half of a pillar that's stuck into a wall. And this is meant to support the tower arch. And it's just another one of those fragments or those pieces of the parish church tower here that I've never quite gotten around to putting in place. So this morning, let's get that going. Let's get that put in place. I've also managed to finish off the tower turret, which I had forgotten I had already done, but it, again, never got it working with the code of the game. So I got that working, but it took me a long time to figure out there was an issue with the many interlocking systems, and predictably one thing was not working right, and the whole thing came crashing down because this game is nothing if not a house of cards. So similar process is going to happen here, and what I need to do is to create this as what's called an auxiliary object to the tower arch that you build. So the tower arch gets built up, and then this kind of comes in on its own, and the player doesn't really have a choice on what style of column to put here. It just appears. So it's one of those kind of minimal interaction pieces. There's kind of a range of interaction pieces in this game. This is one of the minimal ones, and it's okay. It's something kind of more from a tutorial. So it's all right if there's maybe a minimum here. But if I don't have this one build, then we just have the arch hanging in space, and I don't like that. There's already a buttress over here that hangs in space, and I'm going to have to put something under it to finish it off a little bit better. But we're getting there. We're getting there, and we're finishing the tower, which is great because the tower is the very first part of the very first tutorial. And the tutorial kind of comes in 3 different stages, and this is the very, very first one. So it's good to kind of make sure that we get this one right. So there's some lovely ruins, which are not really meant to be appearing in this part of the game, but we'll leave them in place for now. There's some more of the previous landscape, which I need to do something about. I need to get rid of this. Yeah, definitely. So there's a few little chores to tidy up here this morning. Hopefully we can get these respawns in place and functioning. It'd be really nice because that would be one of the last pieces of the tower really to set into action. So right now, our little respawn is just sitting as a piece of placeholder geometry. And I'm going to kick it out into the kind of placeholder space for geometry here in a moment. I just wanted to make sure that it was lining up correctly and I could see it more in context. And that is, believe it or not, the correct place for it, I think. Yes, that's the correct place for it. So you see how it's lining up against this bit of rubble here. So, with that being all set and looking good, I'm going to kick this into the tower holes section. And, yeah, there they all are. Okay, so here's like the tower arch hole, one of them. See, there it is. Right, yeah. So without our little respawn, if you can manage to see that, let's put the wireframe on and see what happens with clarity. A little bit of clarity, but you can see the tower arch just hangs in space. That's pretty unsatisfying, so we put a pillar underneath it to catch its weight. So anyway, so that's sitting there as one of the holes. And we're going to make sure everything's all set up correctly first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at something I've done before, which is, again, I've done this tower arch goth hole already. That's the Gothic version of the tower arch. There's a Romanesque version as well, so there's some interaction on this side. I just want to do some settings to make sure I've got everything ready to go, so I can see that its whole object behavior says that it's set to be off on start. I need to go grab some of the fractured pieces and things like this, because again, this is part of, I stole this out of the parish church part rather than just the tower, so I've got to go grab some of its dependencies here. So I've got to go grab its fractured object and make a copy. So this fractured object here, its little fragments. So we're gonna duplicate that one. We're also going to move it in. Come on. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Sorry. Lots of dragging and scrolling here. There we go. It's going to sit there. It's going to have the same position and rotation. Great, let's make these all visible for now. All right. So let's rename this. Okay. My apologies if you can hear the wind howling. It's I live in a very windy place anyway, and the wind's really going for it this morning, blowing around all that snow and drifting against the doors. So there's some stage 1 fractured objects here. I wonder what's sitting in here. I haven't looked at these for a long time. This is all very strange, okay. Alright, I always kind of wonder what I was thinking. But we'll stick this one in here too. These shouldn't be in here. These are proto-objects, not fractured objects, so that's interesting to see that I've decided to do it that way. What was I thinking? I'm sure I had some reason for it. Okay, now I've got to use other objects that do similar functions. I've got to use them as my guide since I've kind of totally forgotten. Like I said, this is about a year ago, and I've forgotten a few things. So let's look and see. So this object here that I just clicked on is our reference object. It's where the whole process gets going. And we have to go look and see what its options are. So there's the block options right there. So yeah, see, it references one of these prototype objects here, so why these exist, where they exist, I do not understand, but that's okay. We'll just move that down. Interesting. All these proto-objects. This must be from ages ago and didn't know what I was doing. Alright, that's okay. We've got that sorted out now. Okay, here's a whole object. And we will go tell it that its fractured object is this guy now. Okay. That works. I think the rest of this one should be fine. Okay. But now we need to set the correct whole object for this one, which is going to be this one. and its whole object behavior script is going to be that one. Okay. We don't need to think about anything else. I think we're okay with that. Okay, those are good. This one's going to turn off on start, so it's going to disappear when we need it to. Okay. Well, good. All right, so I've got the kind of background prep. Now I need to set up the auxiliary objects. So for that, here it is. Nope, that's not the correct one. Tower holes, tower blocks, that's what I'm looking for. We will find it here, we will find it. I've never quite mastered the art of having a tidy hierarchy. Here it is. Here's our auxiliary objects right here. We have two of them. These are just empty transforms. They're just performing utility functions here, so yeah, that's the placeholder there. So I need to make these, I need to set these up the same way. I've got the stair turrets, second stage of the stair turret set up. So looking at this, I can see that I had a whole object behavior, a GUID component, and a general object info. So let's go throw the whole object behavior on this one. These two, I mean. Whole object behavior, GUID component, and well, no, we won't put that general object info on there yet. We'll copy and paste that from something else. We'll do it on this one. So we'll just copy that guy. We'll paste it onto these. There we go. So maybe when I rebuild the project after getting the demo done and I have a much better idea of what I'm doing, maybe when I rebuild the project I'll definitely try to make it less of a house of cards with less kind of interacting, moving parts. We'll see if I can kind of rationalize this. So for the past couple of years I've just been kind of feeling my way forward towards what I want to achieve and how I want it to look, and that means there's a lot of kind of unnecessary material, a lot of scaffolding which I've built, and once I have an better understanding of what I've built, then I should be able to take it all down and build it a lot better. So anyway, for now everything's confusing. Alright, so they need to know what their fractured objects are, and both of these have the same fractured object. So let's go grab that fractured object right here. There we go. Okay. They don't have any submodels. None of the rest of this stuff needs to be set up. So that's the only thing we needed there. These seem okay. Now that we've got the auxiliary objects set up and referencing all of their necessary objects, the next thing for us to do is to make sure these auxiliary objects are going to be running with the tower arch object. So this is the one we need. And I need to add some auxiliary objects right here. So we've got two objects. Got the south one. We've got the north one. Okay, their position IDs, this is meant for something that has sort of overlapping objects. So depending on the upper sections of the tower, there's buttresses on each of the four corners, and there's four walls. And depending on which wall you build first, instead of leaving a big ugly gap where a buttress should eventually go, the buttress just fills in. in order to avoid duplicating those filled-in buttresses, but still leave some flexibility for the player to build any wall in any order, I've got this kind of system that looks for the object's index and then compares that against a kind of master array that's being built of object indices, and then once, if that object index doesn't exist in this kind of master array of already built objects, then it goes ahead and builds it and adds it to the master array. And that way I can build objects, or have the player build objects in any order and not duplicate some of these automatic fill-in objects. So I'm not sure if that was clear, but that's the way that works. So I've created the position IDs, and the position IDs are simply the order in which they appear in their groups that are grouped under a null. And the south object is the first one, and since this is a 0 index, it's given 0, and this one's given a number 1. So we've got the south one, it's 0, the north one is granted number 1. So that doesn't really matter for here because there aren't any overlapping objects, but I've got to have this filled in anyway because the script is going to be looking for it. And then this is the auxiliary fragment behaviors. Usually this should fill in automatically, but it's not going to this time, or it is, but it'll do it wrong. That's the main thing I found out after quite a lot of looking yesterday on when I was trying to fill out this second stage of the stair turret. So now I know that I just am going to have to put this in manually, so I've got to go get the fragmented objects again. So let me just go grab those again. There they are. And even though it's the same object, I'm going to fill it in twice here because I think, again, I'm basing everything entirely on this array or this list of models. And so even though they're referencing the same object, and I think I will duplicate and clone it, I've got to have these two referenced. I think that's what I'm doing. We may have some trouble here. So we'll find out what happens in a moment. Okay. So that's all set up now. This is such a complicated script. Like I said earlier this week, with so many functions in it, I'm starting to refamiliarize myself with it, but I really do need to create some sort of little manual that kind of explains to me what each one of these is for, because I don't need each variable in this huge inspector completed for every object. It's meant to be, again, give me maximum flexibility at design time and also give the player maximum flexibility at playtime. All right, enough of that. Let's see what happens. And I think I'm going to turn off the parish church again because we're not working on that right now. I think it's okay. I think I don't need those anymore. For right now, I mean. So, here we go. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm looking at the microphone feedback here, and I can see that you're getting a lot of the wind. You're also getting a lot of the sound of the fans of my computer as well, so apologize for the poor audio. Okay. Right. We've got to build this up first. We've got to do one thing. We've just got to get the topsoil to go away. And, okay, so if we hover over this, we get our options. We can change our arch there. If I build this, nope. Good. And by good I mean not good. It's not building. It didn't do any building. Oh wait, it did do some building. Look at this. Look, there's one right there. That's what we were going for. But I need two of them, of course. So there's two ways to try to do this. I've created this system so that it clones things. I think I'm going to have to duplicate the fractured objects though. let's see what happens now if I duplicate these fractured objects. Let's see what happens. So I'm just going to do, because I think I can't have two of the exact same fractured objects building at the exact same time, I think. So let's duplicate this one and set this one up again. Okay, where am I at? Here we go. So the first one's going to get this one, and the second one is going to get this one. Both of these reference the same whole object, but the whole objects can clone. So we'll see what happens if they clone each other. All right, fingers crossed. I should probably save this too in case I run into some sort of horrible crashing memory leak. All right, let's try it again. So there goes the topsoil. Here comes this part of the block. There, did you see that? Oh, that was beautiful. Look at that. It rebuilt it from rubble and everything. It did exactly what I wanted. Well, hooray. We can finish the stream for the day. Look at that. We did that. How easy was that? It only took me an hour. For us on stream, it only took 20 minutes, but I did do 40 minutes of prep before this. Well, there we are. That is lovely. I'm very happy to see that. That is really cool. Nice to see. Let's keep rebuilding this. I'm going to show you another little issue that I was actually working on quite a bit yesterday and just could not for the life of me figure out how to do. So we've got an object viewer here, which is kind of based on the object viewer that you get in the Tomb Raider games, the rebuild Tomb Raider games. And it's not going great. I mean, it kind of looks like it, but okay, so remember how this object is orientated here. Okay, remember how that one works? Let's rotate our view of our scene, and let's jump back into the inventory. Look, the object's rotated again. This is a 3D object stuck into a camera space canvas, and it seems like whenever this appears, this rotation is dependent on my camera rotation. And I've been trying to find ways to combat against that. And no matter what I do, it seems like it doesn't work. Let's go build some perpendicular tracery, just because that never gets enough love. Just because it's the ugliest tracery. I still like it though. Let's build that. And this. And this. Stair turret. Oh yes, because you haven't seen the second stair turret yet. Okay, and there's going to be a thing over here to find. Okay, and that thing, just in case you want to see what it is a capital. And I need to do something about my rotation system because it takes too much mouse effort. But anyway, there we go. Carboniferous sandstone. I don't even know what that is. Okay. So grabbing that little capital that appeared after we'd rebuilt most of the tower is an important thing because it gives us some options in our rebuilding. And this is hard to see against the blue sky there, but we have an option. So we can see that we have an option to do a plain wall or a wall with a cool little fancy window in it. If you go for the cool fancy window, you won't have the option to build the third story of the tower. So we're going to build the third story. But look, the second stage of the stair turret is in place. So there's this bit of buttress that's hanging out that's awkward, so I need to put in a little sliver down here, but then that needs to go away when we build this bit of wall. So because this actually sits on top of a piece of church aisle wall, I got to do something about that at some point here in the future. I think what I'm going to do is just build a little ruined stub, and that sits in some of the ruins. That'll just be part of the ruined material here in a little bit. So that's being built up. That's being built up. this one's being built up. So now you can see that because we've chosen one path, because we chose the path of kind of really plain walls here, this wall should give us two options to build, but it doesn't. But you can see that it should, because we've got a big dot here and we've got a little filled in or not filled in dot here, and that's telling you that you're actually missing an option. Yeah, so now people can enter in at the tower door down there, and they can go up the spiral staircase and come out at the tower door there. That's exciting. So let's keep building this up. At some point I'm going to put some bells in this chamber, and then when you section through the geometry you'll be surprised to see some bells. That'd be pretty fun. Okay, so there's a complete tower, and there's a little thing sitting down here wanting us to mysteriously do something with it. It's got its own hold on, let's change that, because I think I'm gonna turn the fog on here in a minute. But anyway, it's got its own little flame. So what does that mean? What does it mean? I'm gonna move it like this. I'm gonna turn the fog plane on. Let's leave it like that. I'm gonna turn on the fog plane just for kicks, because I had a really nice screenshot from that the other day. I just really enjoyed that screenshot. There's such an interesting view of the whole place. Seems like kind of a lonely tower there. So maybe we should do this. I'm just lining this up for something, for a future screenshot Saturday. Let's let that flame keep burning and let that twinkle go away. Let's burn a little more. Oh, there goes the twinkle. There we go. Let's screenshot this again, just for kicks. Yeah, there's another one on the other side. Marvelous. I like the way the fog sits inside the graves here. I know it's a bit morbid, but I do like it. I'm going to screenshot this one too. Sorry, guys. Just going to give myself some fodder for maybe next week's Screenshot Saturday. Although that's the day after Christmas, isn't it? It is. Who knows what'll happen. Okay. So we are in for a crash here, because that little blinking thing and that little pillar of flame, if we move our way in here, this little bit of flame here and this blinking object is going to crash, because it's going to want to reveal the topsoil and the rest of the parish church, and none of that's turned on and hooked up right now, so we should just crash here. So there's a coin. Isn't that lovely? And it didn't do it. It didn't crash. Well, that's nice. I'm not getting any errors in my console here, so that's good. Okay. Well, anyway, we're on to our next section here. So that's the basic tutorial on, that's what the player would go through, the basic tutorial on building. The next section would reveal that coin, and that coin would have a date on it, and it has the sort of open portal thing. So you would hopefully notice, once you'd chosen a word to describe the coin, here. So a coin pushed between the flagstones of the floor, and I gotta figure out a way to make that highlighted. Anyway, so now you gotta come up with, you gotta say, you know, what word is this? So hidden, lost, or offered. So I'm gonna say offered, because I like that word. And when that happens, it gives you a date on the coin, although it's years before present, not a sort of BCB, or BCE, CE, BC AD date. It's years before the present, and surprise, you don't quite know what the present is. But anyway, once you select that word, it stays there and gets stuck with that object forever, which is good. This has an effect on the weather system, actually. And then you get this open portal button, which I really should make a little bit larger. And then when you hit that, this being a tutorial, yes, it opens up our time travel. And you can see an earlier version of the tower. Yeah, not bad, huh? And then you hit the space bar to time travel, and suddenly you're in a different time. And all the graves are closed in. See, this is all really good stuff. And at this point in time, I've got to do something about figuring out the tower tops here. Yeah, there's some work there on that time to do. But at this time, then, we should peel back the rest of the ruins here. And then it should allow you to build up the whole church. That should reveal more artifacts that allow you to travel to more time periods. Eventually you will have, you'll start bouncing through time, seeing this site in all sorts of different times. And then eventually you should get to one very special artifact, which should prompt you to time travel to one very specific moment in time, which gives you a little bit of story reveal, hopefully a little bit of mystery, and that should be it for the demo. So, you know, this whole demo has taken years to put together. It's still not done yet, and it'll probably take 15 minutes to play through, but that's okay. So, anyway, that's where we're headed. I am deeply surprised the time travel system worked, and if I press the spacebar again, I'll go back to our other time, our previous time. So that's kind of exciting. So anyway, I am deeply surprised any of this is working. I'm really, really shocked it's working, but that's really cool. So, I need to do some more time travel issues and start setting up what happens to built objects when you travel backwards in time. So that's great. But I am shocked that we didn't run into a game stopper bug there. That makes me feel pretty happy. So what's the next step? The next step I didn't really plan today, because we were just going to get that respawn in place, and I figured that was going to take, you know, the whole 45 minutes we had. So we've still got about 15 minutes left. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start delving into setting up what happens when we time travel, and what I've really got to make sure that that tracery appears at the right time and all that sort of stuff as well. So the biggest problem is that that coin that you find, this tower test coin object, one of the biggest problems with this is that it's got the wrong date on it. So that's moving to the database. So let's go in and do that. Yep, there's some of my setup. Not very interesting, but necessary. Okay, so let's go into the artifacts table here. No, artifacts table. Okay, there's a lot more artifacts, including these dummies. But the tower test coin's the one we want. Let's change its date. It is not 1152. Its date is going to be 1538. That's an important date in British history. Okay, so this is going to change. Just making that one little change is going to be important. So we've got that built. Good, we can get rid of that. And we can copy this and put it back into the project. So put that back in there. Trash that one. There is so much to do still, even to get the demo out. I've got to attempt some sort of sound. And my deep goal is to build some support for the project and then shoot for a Kickstarter to try to pay for some sound work. That would be my deep goal and my biggest interest to do, because good audio, I can do some bad audio, but good audio is kind of out of my reach. It's just one area I don't have a lot of skill in, despite writing a whole chapter of my PhD thesis on acoustics in churches. Oh well. Okay. So we're back in. Oh, well, here's something. Let's stress test the system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build that tower back up again, all 3 stories of it, and then I'm going to save it. And we'll see if the save system even remotely functions. I haven't tested that in a long time. It may be a little bit wishful thinking to think that save system is going to work. And I've got to figure out this rotations issue, but that's really boring to do because it's just a lot of trial and error and waiting for the game to compile so I can play it and test it out, see that it's broken, and try again. Okay, so that gave us something else. Let's do it with a Gothic arch this time. Beautiful. There's 2 different rebuild effects going on there. I'm delighted. And we've got our second stage of the stairs going in. Got our walls here. Got our only option there. Zooming back out. We've really only got one option for all of this. Okay. Alright, this is where I want to save the game. So, Control S. I have no idea how to tell if I actually managed to save this or not. So the way we try to do that is we turn it off, we turn it back on again, and we load it. We see what happens. I think this is going to kill the whole thing. But it would be nice to be able to jump into this save point right before time traveling so that we can set up the time traveling blocks for the rest of the tower and have some visual feedback. So Control L. Well, a lot of it loaded back up again. That's kind of amazing. Our coin is not here. Let's look at our tower test coin. Yeah, it's not here, so that's not triggered. So that's a good thing to realize, that artifacts that are away, yeah, that hasn't appeared. So we gotta figure out why a few of these things didn't save. Oh, you know what? And the topsoil didn't move. This is all new stuff. Great, we've got our coin. Okay, well that's good. I guess it did work. See, our tower is different this time simply because I changed the date. So that's pretty cool. So you notice very little change. Except that our tracery fragment is still in place. So we've got to save that change. Yeah, we got to save that change. But anyway, so it's good to see what's working and what isn't in the save system. And our tower arch didn't save for some reason, so that's a good thing to explore. And I need to be able to peel this soil back here. So I realized that I need to model that, actually. Yeah, I need to make it so that we can smash through this soil. We can leave this soil in place because we're back in time, but this I've got to peel back. Okay, so that's fine. What's that going to look like with the parish church ruins in place? Let's get rid of our tower setup and parish church. Right, so there's a lot of, ooh, there we go. There's a lot of soil in the way already. But anyway, the foundations and stuff should be showing up here, but I need to create a gap here. So that'll be a little bit of modeling work to do over the weekend and maybe over next week. But really, I'm rather shocked that any of this is working at all, so that's a very good sign. All right. Well, I know it's a little early and we started a little bit late, but I think this is actually a good place to stop. I see some of the things that I need to be working on. I need to work on the save system and getting like this tower arch saving in correctly. I need to get this window saving correctly. I need to get that window fragment going away on save. And I need to work on, I need to make sure that topsoil, which shouldn't be there in this one, that should be saved correctly. So I need to work on the save and load system just a little bit, and I need to work on the next step, because this is building this tower is the very first part of the game, and then we go into building the nave, which tells us a little bit more, and we start getting into the quote-unquote narrative. And there we go. There's our memory leak. I wonder what it is that just causes this, and I never can figure this out. Well, so I've got to figure out what's causing that problem too. But anyway, I'm really surprised we didn't crash before this. So I think this is probably a good place to stop it with the beach ball of death here spinning away. Well, let's quit it. That's why we save. Let's jump this one back up here again. And while that's loading up, it just remains for me to say thank you very much for tuning in and listening to this wherever and whenever you happen to be. And I'm going to probably have potentially the next couple weeks off, because the holidays and family and however we're going to spend the holidays, some things have happened at my daughter's school, which means that maybe we aren't doing our same holiday plans that we had planned, and we're all a little bit bummed about that. But whatever you're doing for the holidays, I hope it's going to be great, even if it isn't your expected plans or what you'd like to be doing. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy those around you. And I don't know if I'm going to be back. Pardon me, I don't know if I'm going to be back next week or if I'm going to be back the week after. So let's enjoy a week off, do good work, and Merry Christmas, everybody. And we will see you either after Christmas or in the new year. All right, but for now, we've got our work cut out, so I know what I need to work on. Hopefully, I'll have something to show and some progress whenever it is that I return. So anyway, happy holidays, everybody. Bye.